Well, Happy New Year 2026. Let's take a look at some of the gear that wore out on my PCT trip. I did all but 400 miles, 2,250 miles, I guess that would be. So let's get to it. All right, well, the first thing is Dyneema stuff sack. So this thing is really wore out. I've patched it several times. I was a little surprised. I think what I've learned is that this stuff isn't very tough as a stuff sack. So I'm curious if it's different than the material on the tent itself, because the tent's doing great and it's under what I would consider a lot more stress than the bag is, but I've had to patch this several times. Dyneema creates this stuff that basically, I call it Dyneema fur. I don't know if you can see that or not right there, but the strands start coming out of the material. And as that happens, it gets weaker. So then the holes start to happen. So to be fair, this isn't just the one trip. So I've had the tent for 2 years now, I think. So it does have a lot of miles and a lot of stuffing on it, but little surprise. The new one's probably about 25 bucks or so. It's not any sort of warranty thing. Look at that fur. At first I was cutting little strands off over and over again, and cutting the strands off didn't do me a bit of good. So don't recommend doing that. You're kind of wasting your time. And if you were to pull on them, they'll just come out kind of like a rug. If you think about a rug, you pull the strand out and it leaves that empty spot in there. So yeah, lots of nice little holes and missing strands in that one. So that's a Z-Pack stuff sack. Dead. And since I'm on the Dyneema stuff sack, I guess it's no surprise that my pot stuff sack also did the same. It's probably got a lot less miles on it than that does. The same light material. I don't know exactly what weight that is, but a couple of places where you can see all the fur once again. So you got all this fur coming off of it, which is a real pain when you're putting this is the actual pot that I was carrying, 750 mil. Haman's is the brand name of this one. It's the same as a Toke 750. The problem with those little strands is they get stuck on the handles as you're pulling them up, and when your hands are cold, you're trying to get this thing put on. I love it otherwise. It holds everything together so nicely, weighs almost nothing, which is, the plus of Dyneema, of course. But once again, the little strands come out a little piece at a time. You end up with all this fur sticking out. You also, where it bends, I don't know if you can see that or not, but where it bends right here, right across here, it was wore out. That's probably the most worn out spot. So the strands came mostly out of there. I think this is Pond's Edge I got from Garage Grown Gear. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying this is what I kind of expect from Dyneema now. Maybe a year's worth of use, and you'll probably have to replace it if you use it quite a bit. Look at that. And they're like these little, well, they're kind of like spider webs. They pop out and they get caught in the dangest places, like in the lid hinge and stuff like that. And once again, when you're tired, your hands are cold, it's early in the morning, you have a headlamp and you're trying to get this stuff done, it's a little irritating. Once again, I'm not slamming the company or anything else. I'm just telling you what you can expect with a Dyneema stuff sack. Not sure what I'm going to go to next. Oh, actually, if I stick with it, I do have the fire maple, which will not require having anything to hold it together, because it has its own handle where you just squeeze it in to pop it out like that, stuff everything in there, and then you can just shut the top. It's bigger, heavier, but if you see my last review, I can link that down below. I compared the heat diffuser with a non-heat diffuser on this pot, and it's pretty impressive. It's very impressive, in fact. So I'll give this a go. Haven't used it yet. Can't wait to use it. So moving on. All right, let me jump in here. I missed a couple of things. First off, I don't have them with me because I got rid of them, but sun gloves, I had those for about halfway. Those were some Amazon sun gloves. I'll put a link down below what they were. Did a pretty good job. I kept trying to fix them. They eventually wore out, but can't decide if I like having them or not. They have some advantages because they have some leather on the palms and they're kind of warm, a little bit warm, so they can be kind of nice, but in hot weather they're kind of clammy, so I don't know. Can't decide if I'm going to do those again or not. My trekking poles do have polyurethane. I'm not sure what kind of grips they are. They're not cork. That'll rub off and make your hands pretty black by the end of the day, so that's another good use for sun gloves. But anyway, that was one more thing that wore out that I thought about. Shoes, obviously. Topo Traverse, absolutely fabulous for me. They've been amazing. So I have 400 miles left on the PCT, and this is my third pair, and I'm pretty sure they're going to make that 400 miles. So getting almost 1,000 miles off the first pair because I wore them before the PCT. Second pair was more around 800 or so. So yeah, I'm thinking I'll be able to finish the whole PCT with 3 pairs of shoes, which is pretty amazing. I could do a whole review on these shoes, the before and after. I did the before. They're super comfortable, fantastic grip. The soles last a long time. There's so much to like about them. They have just the right amount of stiffness. I was really worried about that at first. They seem too stiff, but turn out to be perfect. So they're real stable. Widen the toe box, although my feet once again are fairly wide, and I think I would like 2 or 3 more millimeters in width for me. But not a real problem. I didn't, like I said, no blisters or anything, so nothing to be alarmed about. But these soles are absolutely wonderful. These Vibram, I'm not sure what they call them, Ultra Grip or something like that. And the toes, this part always comes loose on every pair of shoes I've had, every brand, and not so much these. Yeah, it's been great. The sides haven't blown out, but that is usually the first place I have trouble, is on the sides, because my feet are kind of wide, and that's where it bends all the time. So the bending eventually wears it out. I think the other thing too is they always wear right in here very, very quickly on the topos anyway, but it doesn't hurt anything. So appearance, I guess, but I don't really care about that. It's function. That's what I care about, not looks. Okay, so those are 2 of them, but the other big one I forgot was my Durston Kakwa 40. And I have a whole video on this. I'll link that down below as well. But the whole waist belt came loose, and I had to sew it back on. And I was about halfway through Washington when that happened. But I don't know. I sure love this pack though. I have way more positive to say about it than negative. I'm still not sure why that tore. It's a common problem on Kakwa packs in general, because I also have a review on the 55, and it did the same thing. It started tearing down there, and I think the makers are even, the manufacturers were actually even different between the two, and the material's different. So it was a design flaw of some sort, I think, but it was pretty common. I met 3 or 4 other hikers that had the same problem with their Kakwa packs, regardless of whether they were 40 or 55. The Ultra Grid, however, I think met 3 people with those, had no problems with them. So maybe the sewing technique was different. I don't know. But I think they've all those problems have been rectified by now. Dan Durston's always really on top of that kind of thing. So like I said, I'll link my video down below where I looked at all the packs and the differences. But that was another big one I can't believe I forgot. So yeah, back to my rest of my video that I did yesterday. I have these over mitts. These they're Visp mitts, but I'm not Enlightened Equipment Visp mitts. I've had these for 3 years as well, but not worn very much. Had to seam seal it myself, which, I mean, I knew that when I bought it, but the seam seal, you seam seal the outside. No matter how I try, it comes out kind of bumpy. And I don't really care that it's ugly, but it's very bumpy and hard to tell if you really got it sealed, but managed to get it sealed. Super light, super light. Worked great for about 2 years. And they're made so you can put them on right or left hands, so they feel a little bit awkward, but overall, I I think I'd still replace them because I liked them enough. I would say I only used them, I use them when I have light gloves on and it starts raining. So I can just pop these on. Or if it's super windy and cold, it'll block the wind. And since it's not insulated, it's just a shell, but it probably increases the warmth of your hand by 5-10 degrees anyway, especially when it's windy, because my lightweight gloves, they're not windproof, certainly not waterproof. So this kind of takes the place of all that. But they got to where they don't even hardly break the wind, let alone the water. So I'll have to be replacing those. I don't know, a couple years old, if not 3, but not much use. I only use them a little bit in the morning sometimes, and most of the time I don't use them, but when it's super cold, I certainly do. Okay, my pet peeve here, my Darn Toughs. I went through 3 pairs of Darn Toughs. I think my biggest complaint is they do wear out, and there's no doubt about that, at least for me, and most of the hikers I know. But if you're Sobo and you're getting to these stores when your retailers that have Darn Tough socks, you're not going to get a warranty pair. They only have so many that they can give out per year, and trust me, it's a lot. But I found every one I got to, they were out. They no longer had any, so I was out of luck. And I did not want to carry a 3 dirty pair of socks all the way home and then try to warranty them somewhere else. So this is my 4th pair that I had. But then I did switch off to the wide open socks, which I believe is made by the same company. The problem I have with these is they wear even faster, way more comfortable. The problem I have with the Darn Toughs, and one of the reasons they wear out for me, is they're just way too narrow in the toe box. I have fairly wide feet. I don't think abnormally wide, but they are wide. So these only have about 200 or 300 miles on them, 200 miles probably, and they're already showing some real signs of wear. These are just so tight around the toes, sometimes I can't keep my toes warm because it's just holding them too tight together, and my toes can't splay out. So I have used Injinji, just in case you're going to ask that in the comments down below, but they wear out even faster for me. And just to say, I knock on wood, I don't get blisters. I've had really good luck with that, and I don't usually have any sort of foot pain, so I consider my feet pretty durable, pretty tough, but I really did struggle with those. So those are the things, the big things that wore out. I did have it's really not, I'm only mentioning it because it did wear out, it is in my video, but I had an OR Echo hoodie, but that thing I've had for so many years, I can't say anything bad about it. It was the most amazing sun hoodie I've ever had. It was light, it breathes really well, the hood fit perfectly. It just wore out. It had so many miles on it, but I have nothing but good things to say about that hoodie. I enjoyed it very much, except the price. I can say the price is tough. I got it on sale for half price, that's why I had it. Okay, all that, out of sight, out of mind. I had these behind me. So Frog Togs, wonderful, love them, but they don't last very long. Usually the crotch blows out in them. Did not happen in these, so I was happy with that, but it's just riddled with holes. And the shrubs destroyed the bottom so bad I ended up just cutting those off because all the coating on the outside was peeling off the layer like that. So it kept just working its way up, so I just cut them off about shin height, middle of my shin. All kinds of holes, so I kept just patching them. They're not tough, but they do pretty well in the rain. Overall, they last at least one full through hike, at least for me usually. This one's riddled with holes, a lot of tree pokes and stuff like that, as you can see here, this kind of stuff. Just not very tough, but usually you can patch them up well enough that they'll last a full trip. So that's the one I forgot to mention, is Frog Togs. So there are advantages and disadvantages. They're not very expensive. That's the biggest advantage. Well, actually, and they're super light. That's another big advantage. So I definitely like them. They're comfortable enough. They're kind of baggy. It's hard to get the right length without it being baggy. So I did get extra large the first time. That was a huge mistake. I could pull pants about up the middle of my chest, so I went with large this time. Might even try medium next time. So they definitely run very large. So yeah, that was another one that wore out on my trip. Oh, I was doing so good. I'm gonna go ahead and link a video up here of my PCT trip, and it's on a playlist. I put them out as fast as I can get them done. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. I'm always looking for a bargain because I just don't have a ton of money. Speaking of that, thanks for watching to the end. Please like and subscribe to make me rich and famous. Then I can buy that Echo hoodie. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.